let's imagine that you're really smart. Let's imagine too that you also have great technical skills, and that's got you here. And we've talked many times in all of our episodes that just working harder, that's not the answer, right? Well, the answer, if you want to end up burnout. We were talking to one of our customers, clients, real nice CEO just recently, and he told us that he doesn't have time to look after himself. He doesn't have time because his job is so busy. He's constantly running, constantly fighting, constantly swimming against the tide. And we're trying to get his work-life balance right. And it's all over the shop. And we said, look, you got to look after yourself, man. He said, I haven't got time to look after myself in the way that I should. And we just basically said, look, if you can't find time for your wellness, it's mental wellness too, guys, then one day you're going to be forced to find time for your illness. So think about that as we go through today. That's much less of an IQ issue than it is an EQ issue. Let's draw you a quick diagram. I know for sure I'm going to butcher this entirely, but I'm not going to tell you what it is, but I'm hoping that as I start to draw it, you'll figure out what it is. So please do excuse me as I'm drawing this rather poorly. So we'll start by drawing that, and then we'll kind of do this, and I'm hoping that you'll kind of figure out what this is. I'm not sure what it looks like, but let's, for the sake of argument, be kind to me and say, oh, okay, I know what that is. That's an iceberg. Yeah, of course it is. And what do icebergs have? What do icebergs look like? Well, icebergs have, as we all know, about 1/10 of their mass, their total size, as was evidenced by the Titanic, I suppose, and 1/10 above the surface, 1/10 that's visible, 1/10 that we can see, and then they have about 9/10 under the surface, right? So there's 1/10 under. So this is outside. This is the bit that we can see. So we can see this. In other words, it's visible, but we can't see this because it's invisible, right? It's the stuff that's below the surface, and it's much bigger. Think about this, that if this is, for the sake of argument, our IQ and technical skill and experience, I'll give you all of that, right? So this is management. The real clever stuff, the big stuff, is the stuff that's below the surface, the invisible stuff, the more invisible stuff in any case, and we're going to say that that's EQ and that's leadership. Well, what's IQ? Well, everybody knows what IQ is. Well, let me give you a few headlines for IQ. Well, we know that that's, let's say it's logical reasoning. So logical reasoning. If any of you have taken an IQ test recently, you'll know that there's an amount of logical reasoning they test for. They test for problem solving. I think it's hyphenated. It is now. Analytical skill. Okay, analytical skill. Okay, cool. What else is IQ? It's technical knowledge, as I mentioned earlier. Technical. Okay, great. And what else is IQ all about? What is about kind of verbal and mathematical ability. Well, we know what IQ is, right? And so how is IQ demonstrated? Well, normally by, I don't know, university degree or two, perhaps, some kind of accreditation with some kind of body, perhaps, some kind of demonstration of progress over time, perhaps, right? We know what IQ kind of looks like, even if you've never taken the test. We know what technical skill looks like. Again, we can have a look at a CV that will kind of describe all of that sort of stuff over the course of your career. So whenever we are interviewing for our clients, sometimes they say to us, you know, find us a new CEO, find us a new exec board member, or even just find us a new accountant, perhaps, right? We always approach the task as it's 3 C's, and we're going to talk about this 3C model in probably, I don't know, 6 or 7 videos time. When we're recruiting, it's a 3C model. It's about capability, it's about credibility, and it's about chemistry, right? So we're going to unpick that, as I say, in a few in a few episodes' time. But your CV, more than anything else, talks about, well, think about it for a second. So you're recruiting for somebody for a role, and maybe you'll take an assessment. Well, the assessment will tell you, how capable they are. Their CV will tell you how credible they are. And the interview will talk to you about chemistry, right, and core values and all of those kind of good things. So your CV will talk a lot about your IQ, talk a lot about your technical skill and experience. Great. What it doesn't talk about, really, in any kind of way, in any kind of meaningful way, really, is emotional intelligence. And as I'm demonstrating here, that's really important. So if IQ got you here, terrific, well done. What's going to get you there? What's going to drive you forward? Where does all of that real clever forward stuff look like? Well, it's in below the surface, and it's in EQ. Well, what does EQ contain? Well, EQ is 5 other things. It's all about self-awareness. Now, everybody thinks they are very self-aware. They're not, right? Everybody thinks they're a great driver. Statistics would suggest otherwise, right? So take an assessment. It doesn't have to be our assessment, our benchmark. That's pretty cool, right? But figure this stuff out. Figure out your EQ score. It's really, really important. But anyway, what's EQ about? As I mentioned earlier, not many people can actually even describe what it is, but it's about self-awareness. Great, okay. It's about self-regulation. It's about impulse control, those kind of things, self-regulation. What do you do? How do you respond to issues? How do your eyes betray what you're really thinking, right? Body language and all that kind of stuff. But anyway, self-regulation. It's about motivation of yourself and others, right? It's about empathy. Empathy isn't just feeling sorry for people. Empathy is a very, very misunderstood topic. But anyway, and social skills, right? Okay, social skills. Okay, so we're making some progress here. So we know that management is all about IQ. IQ got you here. Leadership is all about EQ. EQ will get you there. We know what some of those issues are about, but IQ will get you 10th of the way and EQ will get you the rest of the way. If you want to think about it, all of the ocean, all about all the stuff that's under here, right? I think a nice way to think about the ocean, not that the iceberg does much about the ocean, right? But around itself, right? Its own kind of, they are so big, they have their own kind of environments, right? But so the ocean that this iceberg is swimming in, you can think about it as the environment, certainly the most, the close environment. And that really is kind of the culture of the organization. So leadership is really where the culture lives. And what about therefore all of the stuff that's up here, the visible stuff? Well, that's kind of goals and KPIs and all of that. And that's really where management sits. Terrific. Well, I hope that gives you at least some kind of indication. Whilst IQ has got you here, it's going to be EQ that gets you there, especially if you want to start managing and start leading. And you're going to have to get into this whole thing.